What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. It is such a beautiful day outside. I am so excited. I can't wait to get out of this house for a little while this afternoon. I can't wait. So I'm a little bit antsy. In all honesty, I'm a little bit antsy to get done the show and get my butt outdoors. So hello and welcome. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive. This is, good Lord. We are on Inspired Choices Network, and I am your host, Jackie Mott. Do you see? Do you see? I'm like looking outside, and that's all I can think about. So I'm your host, Jackie Mott of Subliminal Mindset Mastery here in London, Ontario, and I am so glad you're with me today. So I'm going to give you just a wee bit of information to start the show. I know Christine is so very excited. Christine is our fearless leader on Inspired Choices Network, and she is so excited because she's created this app thing. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not very good with the technology. It's never been my strong suit, but she is very excited. So, if you are a person who does this app stuff, you can now actually listen to us and watch us, I believe, right on your phone. You don't need a computer, you don't need anything. And I don't know all the details, but go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. I'm sure there's something somewhere that will explain everything to you. Ah, yes. What a great day. What a great day. So, we're all excited about this new development. And I am particularly excited to be with you for today's show because today's show is called You've Got This. You have a 100% success rate. So, this is something like really allow yourself to sit with that just for a second, just that energy of, wow, I'm already successful. We talked about this a bit last week. So feel free to go and find that show. You can probably can find it on the app too. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But here's the thing. You are already a success. You are already a success. So what would it take for you to start to understand that, to play with that energy and to actually come to a place where you own it? What could shift for you if you did? Mhm. So, today we are talking about recognizing your successes, relying on that resilience that you have already built to get through everything else that comes your way. It is going to be some great information. So, as usual, I'm going to invite you to go and find yourself a pen and paper while you're listening, because in the third segment of the show, we are going to walk through some of the how. How do we do this? How do we do this? I just love this, creating a sort of mini workshop disguised as a radio show, as a TV show. It's so much fun for me. I play with this stuff and I have so much fun. You have no idea. You have no idea. So here's the thing. On Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about our subliminal soundtrack, and I'll explain that in just a moment. We talk about how to make it work for you rather than against you. And we also talk about seeing your unique beauty, your unique value, the contribution that you are to the world, because that is a thing that so many people don't realize. Whoever you are, whatever you are, we need you. We need you to show up as the unique and beautiful and amazing thing that you are the only person equipped to be on this planet. Think about that. Just allow yourself to steep in that. I am the only me. I am the only me that has ever been. There has never been a person who was born with exactly the same combination of talents, flaws, gifts, challenges, all of it. There's never been another person on this planet like you. Never. Maybe similar, but never like you. So we need you. We need you to show up in your beauty and your amazingness and your glory, because the world needs you, my love. Isn't that awesome? I know. Sit with that. And I'm going to ask you to just actually like get that, get the feel for that energy. And as we go through the show, see how it feels as we talk about these things. And by the way, We had somebody last week. I've never actually even talked about this, but if you want to go into the chat room and ask a question, you are more than welcome because I would love to have an interaction or a discussion about maybe a challenge that you're having. I would love to do that. So feel free if you would like, go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. And and you can also get there from the app. Christine is here. She's just prompting me along, right? Yeah. She, God, I love you girls. So please feel free to go into the chat room and join me and have just a little bit of an interaction if you feel like this is speaking to you or you have some questions or like I don't understand this thing. I don't understand it. So please feel free to join me. I would love to see you here. So here's our show today. We all face difficult circumstances sometimes. We all do. It happens to everybody. There is absolutely no avoiding this, okay? When they come up for you, do you know that you've got this? Or do you feel like you'll never get through it? Big difference, right? Feel that difference. It's important to remember when hard times come that you already have a 100% success rate in getting through every difficult thing that life has thrown at you, everything that you have faced, and you will get through whatever this is too. You've got this. You've got this. Okay, so I'll share with you the subliminal soundtrack idea. So this is something that I came up with. Now, I mean, I've heard other people call it different things, but this is sort of my take on that internal dialogue idea. This is my take on that because it's very important for us to get clear on what's happening in our subliminal soundtrack. So what this is this loop of messages that plays sort of in the back of our minds all day every day. It is made up of all of these little bits of information that you've gathered throughout the course of your life. So, every conversation you've ever had, every lesson you've ever learned, every relationship you've been part of, every single experience has given you little bits of information that have then gotten stored on your subliminal soundtrack. And we use that information to create our belief systems about ourselves, about the world in general, about, for example, what does it mean to love or be loved? What does it mean to have money or not have money? What does it mean to be wealthy? What does it mean? All of that stuff, right? So, all of those meanings are sort of stored back here, and they're based on the information we've collected. Now, the beautiful thing about the mind is that it is created to protect us, but the sort of hang up there is that it can actually cause us to create belief systems that will hold us back based on whatever information that we've had. So for example, if you've been hurt in every single relationship you've ever had, then there will be a part of something back here, a message maybe. And if you don't get clear on that that message is holding you back, then you will probably never actually get to a place where you have a healthy, loving, stable relationship. Okay. If you have messages playing back here that relate to your money and your worthiness and your value, all of those things will control every choice that you make, every circumstance that you create, the options that you believe are open to you, all of it. Because here's the really fascinating thing what we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it is based on completely incorrect information. Okay, so that's in a nutshell, that's your subliminal soundtrack. And how that relates to what we're talking about today is that if you believe that you aren't smart enough or pretty enough or strong enough to find your way through whatever the circumstances are that you're facing at the moment, you will suffer more. First and foremost, you will suffer more and you will create that for yourself. So, shifting this is very important because why would we want to suffer more? Why wouldn't we want more joy and more laughter in our lives, right? So, you will also put yourself in a position where you might get stuck there. You might get stuck there. And who wants to live there? You know, we can't avoid pain. Pain is completely unavoidable in this life. People die, relationships break up. You know, we go through all kinds of different hardships as we go through our lives. There is no way to avoid pain, but suffering is optional. Suffering is a choice. And I know that's a hard truth, but it absolutely is. So that's one side of it. Now, if we flip it and we say, okay, but I don't believe those things to be true. I believe that I have whatever it takes to get through whatever comes my way. I believe that all circumstances are temporary. I believe that there is another side to this thing and I will get there. Can you even just compare those two ways of being and feel the difference? There's like an empowered feeling like I will get through this. Like there is just not another option. Do you see what I'm saying? One, we're getting sort of stuck and mired in the muck, and the other one, we're like, forget it. I am not staying here. I will figure this out. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will figure this out. And that is the mindset that helps then push us through the circumstances to the other side. Okay. Get to the other side of whatever. I used to have this idea about these, things that we get mucked in, we get or stuck in the muck. I used to have this idea of like, okay, so I'm wading through a swamp and it's hard right now because my feet are getting stuck in the mud, and I'm there's all of these, maybe there's trees and stuff in the way. There's all of this stuff in the way, and it's hard to walk through a swamp. But I know that there's another side to the swamp. I know that I will get there and then the ground will get solid. It will be so much easier when I get there. So you focus on what you're working toward, that space, that thing, that money, that relationship, whatever it is, you focus on this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm working toward. And that will give you that boost and that I'm going to get through this. Okay. So that's the shift. And that's what we need to do with everything. If we have good messages or bad messages, we need to shift the things and put them in a way that they will actually propel us toward creating the life we desire, creating the money flows that we desire, creating whatever it is that you want to create. Isn't that exciting? Like it's so fascinating and interesting when I really dig into this stuff and work with people about what is it that's holding them back, the like aha moments, and they're like, oh my god, I didn't even know that. I remember that thing happened, but I had no idea that it impacted me like that. What do I do? What do I do now? What do I do now? And when you get into the space where you start to ask those questions, what do I do now? Oh, that is where you start to have possibility. You start to have creativity. You start to have like options. Doors will fly open. People will show up and you wouldn't have seen them before. Maybe it's not like a bibbity bobbity boo magic thing, but now I can see it differently. I can recognize that particular direction, that particular person, that particular opportunity is actually a thing that will help me move toward the thing that I want to create for myself. So it's that recognizing. Remember, what we believe to be true will be true for us even if it's based on completely incorrect information. So if I believe that all of the resources that I need to create this kind of life or this kind of career or this kind of thing, whatever the thing is, if I believe that all of those resources are available and that I have everything within me that I need, then I will create it, and I will create it because I will be open to possibilities and options and opportunities that I may not have even noticed if I was in that space of, oh God, my life just sucks. Everything is so hard all the time. It doesn't matter what I do, right? No, no, get out of that space, because that space will actually bring to you more of those things. You will create the circumstances that will actually support that belief system. You will bring into your world the people who will support that belief system that keeps you stuck and mired. So we need to shift it. We need to break free from that and get into the space of it does not matter. It does not matter who comes, what comes. It does not matter. I'm going to find the right way to get there. And everything is available to me. All right. So that's the thing. And, I've just gotten totally off on a total tangent. So our first segment of the show is completely off my list, but that's okay. So one of the things that I really want to talk about with this is that we need to develop like a rock solid belief in ourselves. Rock solid. Okay. And uh, we come up sometimes against circumstances that cause us to have a lack of trust for ourselves. Now, this usually, in my experience, has been when we have allowed a person into our world and that person has treated us unkindly or betrayed us or abused us in some way, or maybe they've taken all your money, whatever, right? We've brought this person in and we've given them a place of importance in our lives. And then one day, all hell breaks loose. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it takes a long time. And every time this has ever happened to me, I've always been like, man, I'm pretty good at this intuition thing. How did I not know this? How did I not see this person for who they were? And here's the thing. Here's the last thing I'm going to leave you with before we go to our break. Here's the thing. When I'm really honest with myself, I did know. I did know. And I chose not to look at that. So we need to get from a place of distrust of ourselves into the place of, oh yeah, I did know that. Also very important, do not beat yourself up. Do not beat yourself up over this thing. There are people out there in the world who, and we call them elves and rattlesnakes in my world. Also, I want to add narcissists to that list because, these people are really practiced. They are very, very practiced at manipulation, at lying, at crafting a really good story. They are really good at this about using something to hook you and then drag you in. They are very good at this. So there's absolutely no point to beating yourself up over this stuff. You need to acknowledge that, okay, I made a mistake, but a mistake doesn't have to cost you. A mistake doesn't have to cost you. It can actually help you move forward. It can actually teach you the things that you need to know. So when we find ourselves in those sorts of circumstances where we're having trouble trusting ourselves, it's very important for us to get clear on that. So we were duped. We were fooled, we were whatever word works for you. And that's our responsibility, but it is not our responsibility what that other person did. Okay. It is absolutely not our responsibility nor our fault. Don't get stuck in the shame blame game. It is absolutely a waste of time. Don't get stuck there. For some reason, it served you to be in that space with that person or whatever the situation was. I don't know what it was. For whatever that thing was, you gained something that you would not have gained without that person, without that experience. So when we get to this place, start to think about, okay, what did I get out of this? What did this give me? What was it? A sense of purpose? Was it a sense of belonging? Was it a some sort of learning? Was it just life experience? Was it an opportunity for growth? What was it? And then you grab that thing and you hold on tight. You grab that thing and you hold it close to your heart, because whatever this thing was, even if it took you right down to your knees, whatever this thing was, it can help you to grow and become more and become better and become kinder and all of that stuff. It can give you a more clear understanding of who you really be. How wonderful would that be to get to a place where you could really see that beauty, that value, that contribution side of yourself? How beautiful could that be? And now I'm going to get spanked in a second because I am way past when we were supposed to take our break. So they do that. They do that all the time. So I am Jackie Mott. I'm your host for Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. Thank you so much for being with me today. Stick with us for just a moment. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a bit more about this idea of, owning that resilience and standing in that space. All right. So stick with us. We will be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about recognizing your successes and using that resilience that you've already built to get through whatever circumstances come your way. Ugh, I love this. This stuff gets me so jazzed, guys. It gets me so excited because I have walked that path where I felt unworthy and hopeless and like nothing was going to change. I've walked that path. And so I know what it means to get to a place where no more. Just no more. No more of that. I will have this, please. I will no longer have that. Do you understand? It is such a life changer to come to a place where you understand this is all mine. My world is mine. I maybe can't control certain circumstances, but I can definitely control who I'm going to be and what I'm going to do when they come. So there you go. That's the thing. I can control who I am and what I'm going to do when those things come my way. And that's what we're talking about today. So I want to talk with you just a little bit about sort of these habits and patterns and things that we get locked up in that actually they perpetuate. That's the word. They perpetuate. Okay. And that is where this subliminal soundtrack can be our worst enemy or it can be our best friend. Okay. So where do you get stuck? Where do we get stuck? We get stuck in the historical information that is playing back here, all those little bits that we talked about that have caused us to create a belief system around a thing. So, for example, let's just talk about um, what I deserve out of life, or worthiness maybe is a better way of putting this. So I'm going to share with you really briefly my biggest, most impactful story about this is becoming a mom when I was 17. And when that happened, before that, I had been honor roll student. I was volunteering in the community. I even actually went and learned sign language at the local school for the deaf because I just thought it was cool. And then I started to volunteer working with kids that had hearing impairments and interpreting for a guy that I went to church with. So that was the kind of person, I'm a bright future, man. I'm hard worker. I'm willing to do it. You see what I'm saying? And then this one circumstance came up and it was as though all of that dissolved. It just dissolved. All of my potential, that bright oyster that was waiting for me out there, it just disappeared. It just disappeared. And I went through another, I don't know, 20 years, 15 years, whatever, hanging on to this sort of belief system that I had picked up from that circumstance that my life was over. My life was over. My potential was gone. There was no recovering. That's it. So you best just get very comfy in that bed, Jackie, because you made it for yourself and now you get to live there. And when I started to understand that it was my own thinking, my own beliefs about who I was, what my value was, what my worth was, what I deserved, when I started to actually realize that those messages back there were the thing that was holding me back. Then I started to figure out how to shift them. Then I started to figure out how to change them. And that's where your patterns and your habits and your behaviors come into play because it's a process, right? So if for 30 years, every time someone's rung my doorbell, I jump up and run to the door to answer it, that's a conditioning thing, right? If my phone rings, I grab it and I answer it. That's a conditioning thing. It is exactly the same thing in every other circumstance. We have developed these patterns and these habits. When this happens, I do this. And it takes a while because these things can be so deeply ingrained, like just embedded there. And it takes a while sometimes to break free of the habit, of the pattern, of the behavior that we have done it. If you've done it the same way for 30 years, it's going to take you a bit of time sometimes to break free of this is what I do when this happens. Do you see what I'm saying? It takes a bit of time. You can get there if you're willing to do a bit of work. You can absolutely 100% shift this whole thing. You can change your whole life. Like in a matter of probably 5 years, my entire life looks completely different from the time that I really started to understand this and work on it. And I would actually hazard a guess that if I had had somebody to help me understand and to guide me and to give me sort of a framework or a system to work with, I would have hazarded a guess that it probably would have happened a whole lot earlier. It was just a matter of, like figuring it out. And that's why I'm on here. This is why I do the show. This is why I do the coaching. This is why I do all of that stuff because I understand what it takes and I would love to shorten that time frame for other people. I absolutely love it. And it can happen really quickly. But don't expect that those habits are just going to disappear. We have to work through them. And then eventually you get to the point where the habit is completely gone and you don't even think that way anymore. How wonderful is that? Right? All right. So remember that whatever that habit is, it's based on that historical information that's stored there. You got to break free of the historical information, and we do that mainly by challenging it with truth. We challenge it with truth. So one of the big ones that I talk about all the time, because money is one that tends to be sort of an easy one to get people to work with. I don't know why. I don't know why, but when we talk about money, it's easier than we start to talk about loving yourself or body image or a whole lot of other stuff. So, because lots of people talk about their money, they talk with their banker, they talk with their accountants, they talk about whatever. But one of the really really big ones is this idea that money is the root of all evil. We've heard this over and over and over and over again, okay? Money is the root of all evil, but it is actually not the proper quote. It is a misquote, that statement. So it's actually biblical. I don't remember what the verse is, but it says the love of money is the root of all evil, and that means greed. So when people come to me and they've got this idea that, money is the root of all evil, so I'm going to push it away. Like I'm never going to be wealthy. I'm just going to, before it even comes, I'm going to have it gone. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be evil. Why would I want to tie myself to this thing that makes me evil, right? So subconsciously, they're bringing in the circumstances and the people that are going to help them keep that money away from them. They are not bringing in the people that are going to help them grow it and create wealth and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's the stuff that we're talking about. So we have to break free of the habit. We have to break free of the belief system, and when we do that, then we can start to create these magical, wonderful experiences. We bring the people in that help us. We open up to the opportunities that are available. I promise you, if somebody had told me even 2 years ago that I would be talking to you right now, I, I would not have believed it for a second, not for a second. So it's amazing the things that can happen because we are actually approaching the 1 year mark. It's crazy. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So, once again, it is absolutely essential for us to get out of the blame and shame game. It does not help anybody and it will probably keep you stuck. Keep your attention over there at the thing that you're working toward, at the thing that you know is waiting for you when you get to the other side of this swamp, okay? Keep your attention focused over there. And then you will give your energy to creating that for yourself. There's an old story. I think it was supposed to be a native Indian story about there are two wolves. So the grandfather tells the grandson, there are two wolves inside you. One is good and one is evil. And the grandson simply says, well, which one wins? They're constantly fighting which one wins. And grandfather's answer is the one you feed the most. Okay. So you get to choose what you think. You get to choose where you put your attention. You get to choose which direction are you going to stay mucked or mired in the muck? Are you going to stay there or are you going to move? Are you going to move forward, even if it's painful, even if it takes time, even if it takes tremendous will and effort? Which one are you going to do? Stay mired in the muck or move ahead? Your choice. So, the last thing before we go to our next break that I want to share with you is this clarity that came to me. I don't even know when it was, but there was a time when I just had this awareness come to me that there are only two options here. Either I'm going to survive this or I'm not. Survive or not. Those are the only two options, right? And if I don't, it's not going to matter anyway. That's the truth. So having that clarity and giving things the importance, I'm going to do my level best to do whatever it is that I need to get through this. The rest is not up to me. Do you see what I'm saying? I will do my level best, but there's something outside me that has, that has a little bit of play in there. So either I will survive it or I won't. And if I don't, it doesn't matter anyway. All right, so we're going to head to our next break. Go grab your pen and paper because we got some actual information to share on this whole subject, the how to of this whole subject when we come back from our break. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about this idea of standing in that resilience that you've already built, standing in your power and knowing that you are going to get through whatever comes your way. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And did you get your pen and paper? If not, you've got a moment to do that right now. So I'm just going to share with you some of the stuff that's going on in my world. So other than the fact that it is absolutely gorgeous and I'm just not, I just can't even contain myself. I can't wait to get out there and spend some time today. With the business, we've got the website is still, we're having some challenges there, but it's coming. It is coming. It is coming. It is coming. I know, right? So see, I'm not mired. We're gonna get that thing up and running. Awesome. So yeah, the new website is coming. That is called subliminalmindsetmastery.com. And you can still find us at phoenixcoach.ca, which is the one that you hear on the ads that play. It will still actually be directed over to the new website after we get the new one up and running. I'm going to invite you to go to phoenixcoach.ca right now. Before we get the new one up and running, there is an article there called 3 Easy Ways to Reset Your Subliminal Soundtrack. Now, I have rewritten this article for the new website, and is now called what is it called? 5 steps to wire your mindset for success, or something, to create a mindset wired for success. There you go. So the things that I've learned over the last few years, because the first article or guidebook or whatever you want to call it was written several years ago, and then I've learned a whole lot of stuff since then. So the second writing of this is actually, there's more information, there's better information in that article. And if you would like that before we get the new website up and launched, just let me know. Send me an email, jackie@phoenixcoach.ca. Find me on Facebook, send me a message, whatever. I will send it out to you. If you are interested in that article, it actually gives you the steps. It doesn't give you the personal side, the support, and the, how do we pull this apart and look at it differently stuff. But it does give you the steps. So I would invite you to get in touch with me if you would like that article and let me know. You can find us on Facebook at Subliminal Mindset Mastery. And there is a group. There's some stuff that I'm working on changing within that, which is kind of exciting. There's all kinds of exciting stuff. And don't forget, Inspired Choices Network now has an app. So I don't understand it, but there is information on the website, and I'm sure on the Facebook page and so on and so forth, about what to do and what you can get by downloading the app. I know you can watch us live, probably right from your phone. It's exciting. Christine's over the moon. Over the moon. Jen says, just got to search in the app store. So there you go. Go and download the app, and then you can listen to me every Friday at 1 p.m. I always talk about good stuff. Bring your pen and paper, though, because sometimes there's some really good notes to take too. Gold nuggets, my friends. Gold nuggets. All right. So, with that having been said, we are going to get into the how of this. And it is not actually as difficult as you might imagine to actually get from that place of, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this, to, oh yes, 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 I am. Yes, I am. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to identify what is actually bothering me. What is the situation? What is the problem? What is the circumstance? Who is the person? Whatever information it is around this thing that's kind of getting you stuck and upset, identify what it is. That's the first step. It's not that hard to do. Grab a pen and paper, write down what's going on. And journaling, by the way, journaling is a very good thing to help with this kind of process, especially if you're in a space where you can't quite get a handle on that thing. Just free flow with the journaling. It'll pop out. I promise you, it'll pop out. It might take a bit of time, but you'll get there. So, identify the thing that's bothering you is the first step. The second step, get clear on what about it is the problem for you. What about this situation is causing the problem for me? Is it a trigger? Is this a thing that reminds me, subliminal soundtrack, is this a thing that reminds me of something that happened before that really hurt? Is this a thing? You know how they talk about, if somebody's been in a car accident, you've got to get them back behind the wheel as fast as possible, because people will develop a fear, and perfectly normal, right? The last time that I was behind a wheel, I ended up in a hospital or whatever, like whatever, right? Um, so very, very important. Very, very, very important. What is it about this thing? Is it a trigger? Is it a new experience where I'm not sure what to do? Maybe I'm a bit afraid. Maybe I'm afraid of the unknown. Maybe I'm afraid of the possibilities that could come as a result of this thing or this relationship or this job or this move or whatever. Maybe I'm afraid because I just don't understand what is out there. It's uncharted territory. I've never done this before. I've never been here before. Is this going to work? I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? So is it a trigger? Is it a fear? Is it a going into an unknown place or an unknown way of doing things that you're not familiar with yet? What is it about this circumstance? If it's a person, then is it my gut telling me that, oh, this is not safe, or this is not healthy, or this is not going to help me to be my best me? All right. Identify the thing that is bothering you about the situation. Now, here's where it starts to get juicy. And it's also this is where we start to do the work. Okay. Make a list of all of the difficult situations that you have already faced. Make a list. Now, I'm going to tell you, when we lost my sister in the car accident, I ended up going to a lady for grief counseling, and it was just really kind of funny, because one of the exercises she sent me home with one day was, I want you to do a timeline, and I want you to start, so birth to where you are in your life now, and I want you to map out every difficult circumstance, so every death, every loss of any kind, because grief is possible even when there's not been a death. It could be a loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of anything, loss of money, anything. Any loss can trigger a grief response. So she wanted me to map out, and when, when I sat down to do this, it was actually really cathartic, number one. And number two, when I went back to see her the next week, she took a look at my list and she went, holy crap. Holy crap. Okay. So it is very, very important for you to make a list of everything that you have gotten through. Every loss, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every circumstance, illness, anything that has been a challenge, because now we're going to recognize that you did it. You got through it. Okay? So make your list. How did you get through those circumstances? What skills do you have that could help you now? What skills have you developed? What resiliency have you developed from that circumstance or that set of circumstances? What do you have within you now that you can tap into? Okay. Those are the kinds of things to think about. So, our next step is we're going to challenge the thoughts and feelings that come up around those circumstances. We're going to challenge those feelings of hopelessness, those feelings of helplessness, those feelings of I have been done wrong. Okay. Whatever it is, those feelings of I have been done wrong, and um, I don't know how to get through this, because you don't need to know the how. You don't need to know the how. You need to know that you have within you every single thing that you need. Every single thing you need. Remember, you have a 100% success rate at surviving everything that has ever come your way. All right. So we want to challenge those feelings of helplessness and hopelessness and victim. We want to shift it from being a victim mentality into the champion mentality. Okay. Our last step. So, step number 5 is to make a plan. Very simple. What do you need? What do you need? And you know what you need, because remember, you've already gone through things. You've already survived this and this and this and this and this. Okay. So what do you need to help you get through this? Do you need support? Do you need to go and see a counselor or a coach? Or is there a family member that makes you feel safe and loved that you can talk to, where it's, that safe space that we've talked about on the show before? Is there a friend who gives you that? Maybe it's not a family member. Maybe it's a dear friend. Maybe it's a spouse. Maybe it's a partner. Maybe it's a coworker, whoever it is. Do you need support? So identify that. If there is there anything about this thing that you can change? Is there anything about it that you can change? Because there are a lot of things that are dependent on someone else's decisions or actions, or somebody else taking action, whatever the case may be. So, is there anything about this that you can change? If not, release control. Is there something that you need to do? Focus on you, focus on your self care, Focus on what do I need to be, do, or have in order to get to the other side of whatever this challenge is in my life. What do I need? All right. That's where you focus and focus on moving forward, moving forward. All right, my friends. So we are now down to the last break of the show. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we are going to talk about this wrapping up of this conversation. I think this part of the show is actually going to be my favorite. We're going to wrap up the conversation about standing in that resilience that you've already built so that you know you will get through anything that life throws at you. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to the last segment of today's show. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about recognizing your successes and relying on that resilience that you've already built to get through everything else that comes your way. You can do this. You've got this. You've already got this. Claim that and own it. You've already got this, okay? So, when we talked a little bit about the habits and the patterns that we can fall into. So what do we do when that happens? What do we do? So go back through this exercise. That's my number one thing, because sometimes, we have to remind ourselves. We have to remind ourselves of the thing that we have learned, because we go back into that old pattern and it doesn't help. So remind yourself. Go through the exercise again. If you've written it down, if you haven't, I'm sure it'll be somewhere on the show page or something. Maybe I'll even post it on Facebook. I don't know. So go back through the exercise again. Go to your support system and ask them for help. Maybe what you need is just a place to talk things through. And I know for me, this is a huge thing, because what happens in my head sometimes is all of those dark, ugly, and dancing with my demons places. It seems so much bigger and darker and harder sometimes when I allow myself to go into the space, when it's stuck in my head. Sometimes all I need to do literally is drop it, let it drop out of my mouth, come out of my head. And then I look at it and I'm like, wow, this isn't nearly as bad as it seemed when I was thinking it through. So sometimes we just need a place to dump it. Sometimes we need to let it out. We need to cry. We need to rage. We need to whatever. And if you need to do that, please do, because that's the body. That's the body reactions. And when we don't allow ourselves that space to cry, to rage, to whatever physical thing that you need to do, When we don't allow ourselves the space, we will get sick. That stuff will get stuck and stored in our body. So allow yourself to rage, to cry, to scream, whatever it is that you need to do, allow it. There's no wrongness to this. You will know. You got to trust yourself. You will know what you need to do. All right? So take care of you. Do the thing. Maybe what you need is a good swift kick in the butt. I know. I know. That never happens to me either. Never happens to me either. And I'm sure not to Jen or Christine either, because, we're perfect. Right. So maybe you need a good swift kick in the butt. I don't know. It's important for you to be clear on what you need. You must, you must be responsible for your own care. You must be responsible for your own care. Okay. So don't go, one of my friends, how does she say it? Don't go to the hardware store looking for a loaf of bread. I love that. I love that because you're not going to find it there, right? So know who people are in your world. And you already know this. Who is a person who is safe for me to just let it all out and bawl my eyes out? Who is a person who has provided that space for me? Who is a person who is really good at helping me think it through? Where I'm getting stuck in my thought process that's not allowing me to move forward. Who is a person who creates whatever it is that you need at that time? Because here's the thing, sometimes the people from a absolute place of love, not understanding what it is that we need from them, they will actually try to be supportive, and unintentionally they can actually help us get stuck in that space because they don't provide us the thing that we need. So if I know that this person is the person that, man, if I need a kick in the butt, that's where I need to go. It's up to me to choose that person. If I know that I just need safe and soft and love, and that's this person, then that's where I need to go. Okay. Also important, when you get there, let them know what you need. Let them know. Because if you don't take responsibility for your own part of this process, then sometimes people will let you down, and they don't even mean to. They are doing their level best to support you and love you in a way that you need to be loved and supported in that moment. They just don't understand what it is that you need, and they give you something else, right? So you go to the hardware store looking for bread. Yeah. So, last few things I want you to remember. Remember, you have a 100% success rate of surviving every single thing life has ever thrown at you. 2, every situation is temporary, even life. 3, there's always another side to the problem. Focus on how to get there. Get out of the swamp. How do I get to the other side of the swamp? 4, there are only two options. I will either survive this or I won't. And if I don't, it doesn't matter anyway. 5, you've got this. You will get through whatever you're facing, just like you have every other single time in your life. So that's our show for today. I'm going to leave you with this quote that I wrote for you this morning. It's so very important to remember that you are still here, still alive, and still breathing. As long as you are on this side of the dirt, there is always, capital letters, always, another chance to learn and to be better and to do better. You get to choose whether you move forward toward that or you get mired in the muck. You get to choose, my friend. So what do you choose? So that is our show for today. Thank you so very much for being with me. I am Jackie Mott of Subliminal Mindset Mastery here in London, Ontario, and we are on Inspired Choices Network. The show is called Time to Rise and Thrive. I will be back next Friday again at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain Time, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Empower You. Unleash your inner powerhouse. I promise you, this is going to be a kick ass show. I am looking forward to it already. Unleash your inner powerhouse. We're going to be talking about tapping into your personal power using radical personal responsibility to shift your thinking from being that victim to being that champion. How juicy is that one going to be? All right. So don't forget to go and download your free article or contact me through Facebook or by email or whatever. I'll send you the new one if you'd like it. Thank you so much for being with me on the show today. I really love sharing my day with you, and I hope you enjoy sharing yours with mine. Thank you for that. I appreciate your time. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.